Hey, my name is Tom King. I write Batman, and this is Gabe's Infinity Watch. Damn it.
Hey everybody, Gabe Infinity Watch is back. So, this is part 2 of my collection video tour. Part 1, if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and check that one out. There should be a little thing here that will direct you to it. If I figure out how to work that kind of stuff correctly. So this is part 2 of the collection. This is the DC Vertigo image, small press, all that kind of cool stuff. Stick around if this is your first time here. Subscribe, check out the other video so you get the whole kind of tour of everything back here, so you can see all the cool stuff I got. And you know what? Give me ideas if you want me to do like reviews or spotlights or any more in-depth information on any of these books back here as well. Okay, so I appreciate you sticking around to watch the second video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, so moving on, this is going to be the DC section. Start off, we have the Absolute All-Star Superman, Absolute Long Halloween, Batgirl Silent Night. This is Cassandra Cain Batgirl. It's one of my favorite Batgirls of all time, next to Burnside Batgirl. Then we got Death and Family. This was probably my first collected edition that I ever bought back as a kid. I bought this at a movie theater when I go see one of the Batman films. I remember that. Nightfall, new Omnibus. One of the best Batman stories of all time. Arkham Asylum, Living Hell by Dan Slott. Batman Hush, another great storyline by Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb. I like it so much, I have the unwrap edition too. This is all the Jim Lee's pencils. You can still read the story, so it has the word bubbles and the captions, but the art is just Jim Lee's pencils. Batman Broken City, this is by Azzarello and Eduardo Risso, the 100 Bullets guys. Paul Dini on Heart of Hush. Under the Red Hood hardcover, this is the one that comes with the actual DVD for the Under the Red Hood movie. Batman Black Glove, Batman Black Mirror. This is the Scott Snyder series that kind of made him who he was. This is what got him the gig on Batman New 52. Gate to Gotham, another great Scott Snyder series. And then Batman New 52, Court of Owls, City of Owls, Death of the Family. Absolute Dark Knight. Absolute Dark Knight trade paperback, old trade paperback. I got this as an anniversary gift from an old girlfriend, I think. Batman Year One, Batwoman Elegy, beautiful book. Batwoman is a fantastic series. Crisis on Infinite Earth, Absolutes. This is signed by George Perez. He signed like all over it. Like you can kind of see the autograph there. And then each of the books inside is autographed as well. Flashpoint, and then New 52 Flash from Manipul and Buccellato. Gotham City Sirens, Volume 1, and Gotham Central, a completely underrated, forgotten series. I'm surprised it got an omnibus. I ordered this immediately when it was solicited through DCBS. This is a must-read. It's Brubaker, LaRocca, Lark. Like, you cannot go wrong with this series. Absolute Green Arrow by Kevin Smith and Andy Parks, Phil Hester. Absolute Identity Crisis. Brian Azzarello's Joker with Lee Brahimo. Jonah Hex. Love the series. Face Full of Violence. JLA Avengers. Again, this is signed up all over the place by George Perez. Signed it there. Signed it here. Like, George Perez is the coolest guy. He's signed. If you bring him like one of these cool absolutes, he'll sign the slipcase everywhere and then each individual book as well. So it's like 4 autographs of George Perez on there. These are the original JLA trade paperbacks from the Grant Morrison run, along with Rock of Ages and Tower of Babel. Just the Doomsday War, Power of the Gods, and then Doomsday War Part 2. Kingdom Come, an absolute essential story that you need to read. New Frontier by Darwin Cook. Beautiful book. Another great book that has to be read. Nightwing Volume 1. Omega Men. Shazam Celebration 75 Years, and Shazam Monster Society of Evil. I really love Captain Marvel. I call him Captain Marvel. I know it's Shazam, but I call him Captain Marvel still. One of my favorite characters in comics of all time, and it's just great to see these things kind of collected. But this Society of Monsters of Evil is one of the best books out there by Jeff Smith, from the guy that did Bone. DC Archive, Superman Volume 4. Superman for Tomorrow, Brian Azzarello, Jim Lee. Absolute Batman and Robin. I love this series. This is such a good series, especially the Ed McGuinness stuff that they did. And then on Volume 2, you have Ed McGuinness as well with Carlos Pacheco, and Volume 1 also had Michael Turner. Jeff Johns' Teen Titans Omnibus. This is a great series as well. Showcase presents Wonder Woman Volume 2. This is just a random thing of Wonder Woman I got for my wife. And that's it for Mainline DC. This whole kind of top shelf pretty much. And then we dip into non-DC like proper universe. So we got like Vertigo stuff coming up here. So all 5 volumes of 100 Bullets. Must read. If you like criminal, you like Brubaker stuff, you like crime books, none of that would be around if it was not for 100 Bullets. So these, Volume 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then Volume 5 is down here. It didn't fit on that part of the shelf, so I had to kind of split up the family. Aerosmith by Kurt Busiek and Carlos Pacheco. This is a great book. I talked about it on last week's episode of Omnibus. Authority by Warren Ellis, and then Authority Volume 2 by Mark Miller. Dark Knight. This is probably one of the best books to come out in 2016. This is the tragic retelling of a night where Paul Dini got almost beaten to death and was mugged in the streets outside of his house. Death Blow. This is the Jim Lee Image series that he did. This is again, these are one of the things that I'm so shocked that we have a collected edition of, because I just never thought anybody cared enough to put this out, and I'm super happy they did. This is Jim Lee pretty much aping Frank Miller's Sin City artwork. It's so cool. And then we got volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm missing 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I'm missing 15, 16, and then Fables, 1001 Nights of Snowfall. So great series. I don't know what happened to Volume 7, Volume 15. Somebody must have been borrowing those, or I just lost them or something. That's too bad. From Hell and From Hell Companion, Global Frequency, and Hellblazer by Warren Ellis. This is a completely messed up, scary story for Hellblazer. Joe the Barbarian by Grant Morrison and Sean Phillips, an absolute beautiful story. New York 5, Orbiter, Planetary. There's a lot of Warren Ellis, like kind of right next to each other. I didn't realize. Warren Ellis, Warren Ellis, Warren Ellis, Warren Ellis. Preacher Absolutes, Volume 1 and 2. Pride of Baghdad by Brian K. Vaughan. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 volumes of one of the best series to ever come out in the last 10 years. Scalped by Jason Aaron and R.M. Guerra. Wonderful stuff. Highly recommended. Sleeper by Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips. Spaceman, Brian Azzarello, Eduardo Riso. Swamp Thing Volume 1, Volume 2 by Alan Moore. Sweet Tooth Volume 1, 2, and 3. A masterpiece series right here. Top 10 Absolute. all 10 volumes of Transmetropolitan, which is one of my absolute favorite series of all times. I keep saying it. This is super relevant today with our political climate. This isn't going to turn political, but there's a lot of parallels of what's going on today. What was going on in that book. This here is a Kickstarter hardcover that came out. Only through Kickstarter. It's a wonderful book of artwork inspired by Transmetropolitan. There's no Transmetropolitan storyline or anything like that. Just some of the best artists you ever see doing their best artwork for Transmet. And then 2 Transmet Absolutes. And my Spire Jerusalem on the toilet statue. How cool is that? And then the last little bit of DC, V for Vendetta, Watchmen trade paperback, Watchmen oversized hardcover. Watchmen's one of the best books out there. Wildcats 2.0 or 3.0, Year 1, Year 2, and Why the Last Man, Volume 1 and Volume 2 absolute editions. All right, so, and then down below here is, this is one of my favorite sections of my collection, is the comic books history selection. So certain things like Silver Age DC Comics, Shazam. This is just a really cool book of Shazam, old Captain Marvel advertisements and stuff like that from the late 50s and cool stuff like that. Great superheroes book here. Grant Morrison Super Gods, Comic Wars. This is a great book that actually tells you what happened in the 90s and what really crashed the market. It wasn't variant covers, it wasn't die-cast covers, it wasn't chromium covers and stuff like that. That had a little bit to do with it, but there's a lot more involved that this book explains. Marvel Comics, The Untold Stories by Sean Howell, another great inside look that clears up a lot of myths and kind of educates what really happened through Marvel Comics' history. The 10-Cent Plague is all about how comic books in the 1950s were banished because they were bad and was evil and had crime and werewolves and zombies, and how that almost destroyed the comic book industry. Thin Black Line. This is about Vince Colletta and how he kind of gives you an idea of why he erased so much Jack Kirby artwork. Doesn't excuse it, but gives you an idea of what really happened. The Comic Book History of Comics by Van Lente. Another great comic book history book. And then some little fun things here from Tomorrow's comics in the 1970s. Image Comics, The Road to Independence. This is a great book of interviews and stuff like that. Down here we got some art books as well. Icons is all about Jim Lee and his DC Wildstorm work. Drawing Beautiful Women. This is the Frank Cho art book. This is the Kickstarter exclusive. There came a bunch of cool prints and stuff like that. Art of Todd McFarlane. This is a great, if you're a Todd McFarlane fan. It goes into a lot of information about him growing up, why he wanted to become a comic book artist, what he was doing, where he was, how he worked on it. Really just kind of cool and inspirational book here, along with all the cool art tips and stuff from the man himself. J. Scott Campbell, Time Capsule. Really cool art book that displays a cool time of his from 94 to 2004. So when he kind of broke out into like Wildstorm and early Image, and when he kind of made his own. Udon's art, a captain of Capcom. So if you like really cool Street Fighter artwork and Darkstalkers and stuff like that, this is cool. Biography of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles through art. Art of Darksiders. The video game. Some more really cool, just Kevin Eastman TMNT art books. These are all kind of sketchbooks I got from artists at Comic-Con. How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, Drawing in Perspective, more art books, and Ryan Otley's Pinwheels sketchbook, super cool. More art books, Mike Kunkel's, oh darn it, whatever. Art of Big Hero 6, because I love that movie, I love the art in that. Pink Haired Girls. Morrison Con, this is really cool. This is the program from when I went to Morrison Con. So everybody that went this is the program of like schedules, who was there. A lot of cool like kind of like republished art, stuff like that. And I got a lot of people to sign it. It's almost like a yearbook. And one of my favorite parts as well, I love Wizard. So this is my collection of Wizard magazines. And some more really cool like Tomorrow stuff like Draw and Back Issue and stuff like that. I love Wizard magazine. I wish the stuff would come back. If it wasn't for Wizard magazine, I think the crash in the 90s would have happened a lot sooner, and I don't think it ever would have recovered if it wasn't for Wizard magazine. Wizard magazine was essential material for anybody collecting and reading comics in the 90s. And even like early mid 2000s as well. Turn of the century stuff all came out of here. All right, so enough of that. Let's get over to this is kind of the independent shelf. Not really all independent. I don't really see Image as being independent, but we start off with Image. Battle Chasers Volume 1, Volume 2 of Body Bags. Chew, they're basically absolutes. Chew Volume 1, Volume 2. Kevin Smith's Clerks and Chasing Dogma. Deadly Class by Rick Remender. East of West. Echoes. This is a great book by Joshua Hale Fiofkov. Deadly Class is a great book by Rick Remender. If you haven't read this book, you need to check it out. I had all the issues. This isn't open. The hardcover is not open, but I had all the issues. Fade Out. This is again another Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips joint. What is this? This is Fire. Yeah, Fire by Brian Michael Bendis. This is his early work when he was doing crime books, even before Image. I think a lot of stuff is coming out through Caliber. Fell. More Bendis goodness. Bendis Goldfish, hardcover and softcover. Again, this is stuff I think he was doing before Image. I think this is all Caliber stuff, and Image just picked it up when they picked him up. Godland Celestial Editions, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I need to get Volume 3 before that goes out of print or something else happens to it. Hackslash, Volume 1. Complete Hellspawn by Ashley Wood. I Kill Giants. I'm sure you guys all heard about this book. If not, I have to let you know that it will make you cry. If you don't cry, then you don't have feelings at all. The Infinite. This is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that reprinted The Infinite #1, which was a Kirkman-Rob Liefeld collaboration. So they reprinted it, and this is just one comic in a hardcover, only available at San Diego Comic-Con for that 1 year. And this book didn't really go much further after that because Rob Liefeld and Robert Kirkman had just didn't work out. Speaking of Robert Kirkman, here is Robert Kirkman's best work. Yes, I like Invincible much more than I do Walking Dead. So Invincibles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Great series. It takes you to, if you pick it up in this format, which is my recommended format for this series, because I like how it kind of breaks it up and not just a giant compendium. Give it a shot. Volume 1, kind of have to read almost all of Volume 1 before you realize what is going on and what the story is actually about. Kabuki by David Mack. I got all the Kabuki trade paperbacks. These are old trade paperbacks from like 2005-ish, I think. I would love to get the new library editions that came out. And then Kabuki the Alchemy. King City, a really cool, crazy book by Brandon Graham. Lazarus, Volume 1, Volume 2. I just picked these up recently at MegaCon and had Greg Rucka, he signed them for me. He's a super sweet guy. Manhattan Projects by Hickman. The Maximize Volume 1 by Sam Keith. I need to get the rest of these. I think there's like 6 of these out. I need to hurry up and start jumping on those. Mind the Gap, Volume 1, Volume 2. Morning Glories, 1 and 2. Officer Down, Bigger, Better, Bastard Edition. There was a movie about this that just recently came out. But this is basically like a Terminator storyline as a cop. Orkstain, one of my favorite stories. It's about a society of orcs and how they kind of live lives. It's a complete world building by James Stokoe, and this guy is the master of world building. The master. He's fantastic at world building. Next up is Brian K. Vaughan's The Private Eye, which is a really kind of different style format book. It's a landscape format, so it's this really long, small format. This was originally supposed to be an online digital series only. It was never supposed to be printed or ever be seen on paper or anything like that. But Robert Kirkman convinced Brian K. Vaughan to let Image do this by letting Brian K. Vaughan write Walking Dead for a little bit. Prophet 1 and Prophet 4, it completely doesn't make sense. I bought them out of order and I stopped buying them. I didn't bother going back to finish the run because I'm positive a oversized hardcover is coming out. Revival Deluxe Edition, Saga, Salmon Twitch, Book 1. Oh, this is good. This is so cool right here. Scud the Disposable Assassin Complete Edition. This took like 20 years for the series to completely come out. And I love it. So this is about a disposable assassin. You basically can buy a hitman out of a vending machine, and you give it a target, and it kills that person. But there's a lot more crazy, unwielding, just nonsense, but not in a bad way, but just outrageous, kind of ridiculous, cool stuff that comes out of this book. Southern Bastards, Stray Bullets. I was originally trying to buy all the hardcovers for Stray Bullets because that was the only way that this was available. And then Image picked it up and put out a complete trade paperback, omnibus style thing here. And this prints the first 5 volumes, and then volume 6 recently came out. Torso, this is super cool. It's another Brian Bendis book before he was Brian Bendis. And he did this as Mark Andreyko. It is about Elliot Ness before he went to Chicago, I believe. And this is about like the first serial killer. Total Sellout, this is fun. It's a small little series from Bendis. And it pretty much is just a bunch of cool little small stories of Bendis. He used to be an artist, and it tells stories of him trying to sell some of his movies, him getting to draw banners for parades, and just kind of just crazy hijinks stories. It's a lot of cool talking heads, but it's Bendis dialogue at its best. All right, so that's it for Image. After this, it's just kind of just other non-major, big 3 publishers. So starting off at Archie, Mega Man, love the series. Highly recommend it if you have kids or if you just like Mega Man yourself. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are very inexpensive. They're probably like $12, I think. Yep. So you can find them super cheap on in-stock trades. They even do team-ups with Sonic the Hedgehog and Mega Man. Arsenic Lullaby. This is just a really just off humor, book. I like off humor stuff. You'll see that pretty soon. But this is also a Kickstarter. So I got the hardcover and the trade paperback version of that for kickstarting it. Oh, this stuff's kind of out of order. Whatever. So here's Walking Dead. Volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is about the point where I kind of fell off the series and wasn't enjoying it much anymore. Aphrodisiac, this is by Jim Rugg. It's basically a 1970s blaxploitation film done in a comic. It is fantastic. And it's probably one of the coolest things that you're going to ever see in your life. It's great. Great stuff. I highly recommend you guys picking this up. Fairly cheap as about $15 for a little short hardcover. Tumor by Joshua Hale Fiofkoff. Man, his name's kind of hard to say. I'm sorry. Return of Dapperman. Mr. Murder is Dead. Atmospherics is a cool Warren Ellis book about aliens. Bad World by Warren Ellis. This is a reprint of a lot of his earlier newsletters. A lot of just crazy Warren Ellis ramblings. It's really cool. Warren Ellis Courtyard and Courtyard Compendium. This is the stuff that leads up into Neonomicon and Providence and crazy stuff like that. Now on to some of my favorite books. Yes, Crossed, Volume 1, 2, and 3. Volume 3 is probably my favorite one of all time right now. But this is not the kind of book unless you are okay with extreme gore and extreme envelope pushing nastiness, you want to stay away from Crossed. But I'm okay with that kind of stuff, so I love this book. This little guy, Do Anything, Thoughts on Comics and Things by Warren Ellis. More Warren Ellis ramblings about the robotic head of Jack Kirby. No, literally, that's what it's about. Freak Angel slipcase with all the trade paperbacks. Gravel, which is about a combat magician by Warren Ellis and Mike Wolfer. And then here's all the trade paperbacks that are collected in here. So I had the trade paperbacks for years and years and years. A lot of these are signed by Mike Wolfer and by Warren Ellis. But when I found out there was a hardcover, I picked up the hardcover. Irredeemable, definitely a must own. If you're not reading this book, you have missed out on a lot. It's available. You can easily get it on IST and in-stock trades and Amazon or wherever you want to buy your books. But this is a great series written by Mark Waid. Basically, what if Superman was a killing, murderous villain? Lumberjanes to the Max hardcover. This is the great fun all ages book. Matrix volumes 1 and 2. These things are out of print and hard to find. But I love it because I love the Matrix. These are just more stories told within the Matrix itself. Not anything really to do, it's not much to do with like Neo and Trinity and Morpheus and stuff like that. But there's a lot more just cool stories within that universe. Aliens in Human Condition. This is great. It's a xenomorph alien story, but it's drawn by Sam Keith and written by John Layman. John Layman is the guy that does Chew. Big Guy and Rusty the Boy Robot. Ugh. This is by Frank Miller and Jeff Darrow. BPRD Plague of Frog hardcovers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I haven't read much Hellboy stuff, to be honest, but I love the BPRD stuff. Love the BPRD stuff. Darksiders 2, the video game. Death's Door. Hard Boiled, again by Frank Miller and Jeff Darrow. Fear Agent 1 and 2. Rick Remender. You got like Tony Moore and Jerome Pena. Really cool stuff there. Great book series. Goon Library Edition Volume 1. Hellboy Library Edition Volume 1. I haven't read these. Like I said, I haven't read much Hellboy in my life. Prometheus Fire and Stone complete edition here. This reprints all the cool Prometheus, Aliens, Alien vs. Predator, and Predator stories that Dark Horse put out. Major Bummer Super Slacker edition. This is basically if I had superpowers, I would still just sit around my house and watch TV. Shaolin Cowboy by Jeff Darrow, and of course the big monster, Frank Miller's Big Damn Sin City. This thing is huge. Ugh. And then moving on, it's kind of this is where we get into kind of the smaller press, super like indie books. 21 Clemente is about the baseball player and his kind of tragic life. Prison Pit 1, 2, and 3 by Johnny Ryan. Another book that if you're not into gross, sick out humor, you're going to want to stay away from. Paul Pope's Battling Boy and Rise of a Warrior West. This is kind of Paul Pope's version of Captain Marvel's Shazam. Superhero Happy Hour. Picked this up at Comic-Con a long time ago. I knew the guy on the Bendis board. It's basically superheroes hanging out at a bar and kind of the exploits and crazy stuff that happens around that situation. In Humanoids, The Enclaw. It's the Jodorowsky Mobius stuff. Can't go wrong there. Some beautiful artwork, beautiful stories there. Batman TMNT. That was put up by IDW and DC. Gem and the Holograms. Big old hardcover collection. Don't judge me. I'm sure you guys are snickering at Gem and the Holograms. Yes, Gem and the Holograms. This is a great, great book. I love the art, love the story, love everything about that book. Cobra, The Last Laugh by Costa and Gage. This is a great G.I. Joe story, all about Chuckles and him kind of infiltrating Cobra. Really great, kind of cool spy, military spy story. Godzilla, The Half-Century War. This is by James Stokoe. Another big, huge, skinny hardcover by James Stokoe. Yeah, so Godzilla, Half-Century War by James Stokoe. I love his work. His artwork is, I don't want to call it noodling, because it kind of takes away from the idea of just the thought and effort and love he puts into this book. Or all of his book. This is the same guy that did that Orc Stain I was talking about. Great book. I love the way he draws Godzilla. He draws a mean killer Godzilla right there. All right, so moving forward, more IDW goodness with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 1, 2, and 3. This is the original Mirage series by Eastman and Laird. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original 1990 motion picture adaptation. So it's basically the comic book version of the first movie. Ninja Turtles IDW current running series Volume 1, Volume 2. Transformers Phase 2, Volumes 1, 2, and 3. This is a really, really great series. It doesn't focus too much on like the G1 characters too often. It's the newer characters. A lot of hot rod stuff in here and things like that. I need to finish reading this though. It's just a lot of material. All Hail Megatron, Last Stand of the Wreckers. Now I don't really do I don't do any really creator sections, but I had to for Craig Thompson. Craig Thompson is, I think, the only creator where I've actively gone out and gotten every book he's ever done. So here we have Goodbye Chunky Lee Rice, Blankets, Cabernet the Voyage. This is really cool. He took a tour, or like a vacation in Europe, and just did sketches of people and daily events and really beautiful stuff like that. Habibi, Space Dumplings, which is like his children's story book, but this is really fun stuff. Fortune and Glory, this is another Bendis book, kind of like that Total Sellout, all about him working in Hollywood. And then Valiant, a bunch of Valiant. These are basically all the out-of-print Valiant stuff. Harbinger, Bloodshot, Volume 1, Volume 2, Bloodshot, Quantum and Woody, Rye, Book of Death, Bloodshot Reborn, Harbinger Wars, Sandman, Archer and Armstrong, and Armor Hunters. All really great stuff. Just a lot of stuff to kind of work through. I'm still working my way through Valiant. I can only read one book at a time. Wonton Soup, another cool James Stokoe book about space truck drivers and food. Infinite Kung Fu, Attack on Titan, which is the only manga I have. Frank Miller's Holy Terror. This is a crazy, crazy book. It's about a guy taking down Al-Qaeda and ISIS and stuff like that. This was originally supposed to be a Batman story, Batman taking on Osama bin Laden, but DC wasn't having that. Boy Vampire, this is Eduardo Risso. Early Eduardo Risso work, I believe. And it's about a boy vampire who is actually one of the first vampires, so he's like the oldest vampire alive. Sullivan Sluggers, this is about a small, like, AAA baseball team who goes up against monsters and stuff like that, also by James Stokoe. Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Troy Little. I'm going to pull this out real quick and show you guys, because I just love the artwork on this. Great, great work. If you are a Hunter S. Thompson fan like myself, or if you're just a fan of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, this is a great, wonderful, wonderful book. I used to be a manager of a comic book store here in Vegas, and he came and did a signing at our store, and I got a cool little, personalized to me, a little sketch, and wrote a part of the script out here for me. Super cool. Excess County by Jeff Lemire is up next. Box Office Poison, kind of more just kind of a 20-something guy. Slacker is not doing much of anything. Mouse, Queen and Country by Greg Rucka. Darkwing Duck, the Definitive Dangerous Edition, which is a really cool, interesting book, because the current writer for the current Darkwing Duck series, Aaron Sparrow, wrote this and got no credit for it. Everybody else that worked on the book got credit for it besides him. They kind of just erased his name out of the whole thing. Wizard X-Men Master Edition. This is just Wizard Magazine putting out a cool book about the X-Men. A second Bloodshot from Valiant. I'm probably going to throw that up on eBay one day. And Runaway, since I have all the bigger hardcovers, I'll probably sell these too. So that's basically my collection of... I'm tired now. That's a lot of stuff to talk about. That's my collection of Omnibus trade paperbacks, hardcovers, absolutes, all that kind of cool, fun stuff. I got a lot of room left. I didn't fill up all 3 of the Kalex shelves, which is fine, because that means I have more room to buy more stuff. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Maybe a little bit later, I'll do a tour of my original artwork. But for now, thanks so much for coming by. All right, so what do you guys think about that? That's the end of my collection. That was a lot of work. Not a lot of work. It's not like I was laying brick or, paving streets or, cutting trees or something like that in the summer. But it was a lot of just talking. Like I said, that video would have been like an hour long. I had to split it up into 2 segments. So let me know what's up. If you want me to do any spotlights or in-depth kind of looks at any of these books or anything like that, let me know. At the end there, I showed you a little bit of my original art collection. I would like to kind of get that hung up and maybe do a little tour of that. Besides all that, Infinity Gauntlet up. Thank you guys for showing up, and have a wonderful time. Be excellent to each other, or whatever that was from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.